Okay, hi guys! I want to share with you that most of the things you probably know about therapeutic dogs is not true. So what are we gonna do? I'm gonna make little videos for you guys explaining a lot of things about therapeutic dogs and why some dogs are beautiful and perfect therapeutic dogs and some dogs have difficulty with this, and why some humans are suited and willing and able to have therapeutic dogs while other people are not. Alright, so let's start with why even have therapeutic dogs. So today I'm going to focus mostly on PTSD because a study I'm going to talk to you about is a study that was made specifically to help people with PTSD. Alright, so first let's start with what is PTSD. So we're looking at PTSD. We're going to talk about 5 cluster of symptoms, okay? We're going to talk about arousal, right? Your body becoming activated, feeling the hypervigilant, feeling kind of like that right now, I'm just kidding. Hypervigilant, hyper-aware, right? We have re-experiencing symptoms like nightmares and flashbacks. We have avoidance symptoms, trying to avoid all our triggers that remind us about the trauma. And then we're also talking about mood and cognition changes, feeling more negative about ourselves, negative about the world, and having just negative feelings about ourselves and others, okay? And number 5 is functioning, right? Just a quick summary, we have arousal, avoidance, re-experiencing, mood and cognition, and functioning. Alright, if your arousal or your level of arousal, your level of re-experiencing, your level of avoidance, your level of negative mood and cognitions are affecting your life, then you probably are experiencing PTSD and it's probably not allowing you to live a fulfilling life. Alright, so now we have this beautiful therapeutic dogs that can help us with that. So what do therapeutic dogs specifically for PTSD do? Alright, so very important. If we're talking about specifically PTSD, the dogs are going to be trained to nudge you if you're having a flashback. An important fact that you should know is that people with PTSD actually have a big bubble in their back. What does that mean? They don't like you walking behind their back. It's very uncomfortable. It feels very unsafe. And so the dogs are also trained to alert the person if there's somebody behind them so they don't have to be startled. Now, this is not to be confused with people who have dissociative PTSD, who have difficulty with boundaries. They don't know where their body begins and the other person's body begins. All right, so it's a little different. All right, so here we're focusing only on classical PTSD. All right, so benefits from having a therapeutic dog. Lower the anxiety, specifically if you build a good bond with your dog. Lower PTSD symptoms if you use them to do the specific task while having a good bond with them. And lower depression if you're able to build a bond with them, and if they help you also build a bond with others. So I want you to really notice what I said. A lot of the things I said were about building bonds, right? So what the research showed that I thought was so amazing is that if you were able to build a bond, your PTSD symptoms will decrease a lot more than anything else. The people in the research that only use the commands to lower the PTSD symptoms actually did not get lower PTSD symptoms. Let me repeat what I just said. For those people who focus on building the bond with their dog, who had the ability to focus on building that bond, their PTSD symptoms were reduced. Now, does that mean that any dog that can build a bond with you is going to lower your PTSD symptoms? Probably not. It was the combination of having the bond and the dog helping you with the PTSD symptoms, okay? All right, so other fun facts that you might not know. Those people who were really focused on building bonds only, right, who really try to use a dog to help them meet other people, actually had more depression than the ones that didn't do that, okay? Probably, this is just an assumption, people that are more depressed have more difficulty building those bonds with others, all right? Another fun fact that came from the study is that those that only focus on the dogs telling them when there was somebody behind their back had reduced PTSD symptoms, but had more anxiety. Isn't that interesting? All right, so again, this is a little complicated. And so now we're gonna go to that part of why are some dogs really good being therapeutic dogs, and why are some dogs not that great at being therapeutic dogs, right? So, why? The dog needs to have a very calm temperament. Kind of like my dog here, Rookie. She is the most calm dog we have in my house. If you guys have seen this video, you know there's plenty of dogs in this house. Each one has a different temperament, okay? And so if we're talking about therapeutic dogs, we're talking about a dog with this temperament. How would a dog get this type of temperament? Well, we're gonna get here to that a little bit later, okay? So the dogs that are too excitable are not gonna be therapeutic dogs because, for example, for the population that have PTSD, they're excitable themselves. Remember, arousal is one of the symptoms, meaning I'm gonna become like anxious and feel a lot. And so if my dog is also feeling a lot and is not able to calm me down, then we're not gonna have a good relationship. My anxiety is going to increase because my dog's anxiety also increases. So this brings me to another point. If you guys are used to seeing videos, for example, I love Caesar, the dog whisperer, right? And he kind of trains the people to help be calm so their dogs can be calm, right? Well, not everybody has that ability. If you have PTSD or if you have had developmental trauma, you may not have the ability to regulate your body enough to be able to have a dog that needs your regulation. A lot, right? That was a lot of information. So let me explain. It's all about, are we compatible? Are we compatible to be with each other? If you are a person with PTSD, you are not going to be compatible with a dog who is highly excitable, who is super hyper, who has a lot of energy, who is going to get anxious with you and even more, right? But you will be a good match with a dog that is really calm, has a calm temper, right? Who can share their peace with you. So essentially, who's regulating you? The dog. Now, if your dog has had trauma, your dog is going to need you to regulate them. That dog is not going to be compatible with you if you cannot regulate yourself. All right? This brings me to another topic that is incredibly complicated, all right? And it's actually the underlying reason why some humans are really good with dogs and some humans can have a therapeutic dog for PTSD or any other diagnosis under any umbrella or any stress or any life experience, right? And some people just have too much difficulty with any connection, including connection with dogs, okay? And here I'm talking about trauma and attachment. So fun fact, do you know that just like humans have different attachment styles, dogs have different attachment styles? Isn't that amazing? All right, so humans have 4 different types of attachment styles. They can have a secure attachment style. What does that mean? It means that I feel safe when I'm with you, right? It means that if I need help, I'm gonna ask. I'm not gonna push myself on you. I'm going to be able to be independent. And if you need help, I'll be able to kind of help soothe you, but not be overbearing while I'm soothing you. I'm gonna be able to know when you've had too much of me trying to help you, and I'm gonna step back, all right? I'm just going to be able to share my peace with you and be there with you through your journey. Secure attachment style. Okay, so you will know your dog has a secure attachment style if when you walk through the door, the dog greets you and then is free and able to be alone in their own space, exploring the house and playing around the house. They don't need to be stuck with you, all right? the dog feels free, feels secure, and doesn't feel like they're gonna leave it, so it doesn't have to be attached to you. That's a secure dog. What about if I have an anxious attachment style? If I have an anxious attachment style, then that means that I need a lot of closeness with you. If we are having an argument, I'm going to have to finish that argument. I'm not going to be okay with you wanting to leave. I need to finish everything I'm saying. I'm going to have difficulty kind of giving you what you need because I need to feel the anxiety in my body that says we need to finish this. Okay? So in essence, the anxious attachment style is really focused on that connection. I need you to be able to be complete. I need you to be able to be regular. Okay, so dogs behave if they have an anxious attachment style. Well, you walk through the same door, but now the dog is going to greet you, but they want to be stuck with you, right? They're going to want to be next to you at all times. So I have my dog, Batman, right here he is, and Batman actually needs to be really close to me at all times. If I eat, he's underneath my feet. If I'm in the bathroom, sometimes he wants to be in the bathroom. He sleeps right next to me. If I'm vacuuming, he will literally move to every spot when I'm vacuuming. All right, and this is because he has a pretty significant anxious attachment style because of his previous life. All right, actually, I have 3 dogs that have an anxious attachment style. Mercy right here also has an anxious attachment style, and for her, I believe she was, and she's the only dog that I've actually purchased, and she was in the shop for 4 months, right? So imagine being in a shop for 4 months where you're in a box, people are looking at you. She's incredibly anxious. She doesn't do well with people. She needs a lot of warming up. Meaning, doesn't do well with people. She's slow to warm up. That's what I mean, right? And so she wants to be really attached to me or really attached to my husband. She'll sometimes, right now she's really calm, but she'll like sit on you and really needs to like put her face here to feel really calm. And then my third one is Lightning, right? And Lightning is my tiniest dog, and he actually, he was given to me when he was only 3 weeks. The person needed to get rid of him. So he was a tiny little creature, and that made him really, really anxious. It means that he just has an incredibly anxious attachment style. He's actually the dog that has the most difficult behaviors within my house because of this. And it's really obvious. He doesn't do well with other dogs. If I leave him in the doggy hotel, he cannot make friends. All the other dogs can make friends, even Mercy. She's slow to warm up, but she is able to make friends. She's able to like create those bonds. Lightning is not. And I want you to really listen to that when I go to that next explanation of the connection when I'm talking to adults, okay? Because just like adults and humans, I'm sorry. So now let's go to a dismissive attachment style, right? So a dismissive attachment style means that I have difficulty validating my feelings, listening to my feelings, validating your feelings, listening to your feelings. And so you know that a person has a avoiding attachment style if they feel kind of cold. Like if you're a person that doesn't have a dismissive attachment style and you're with somebody who has, you're gonna feel like they're not listening to you. You might feel that they're a little cold, and that person may feel like they need their independence. They don't want anybody to burden them. They don't want to be a burden to anybody. They just really focus on independence. So I want you to really see the difference of a dismissive attachment really want their independence. They want to stand strongly by themselves, and a person with an anxious attachment style really needs that connection, right? So connection, independence, right? Very different. Each has a different struggle, and each has different strengths, right? Remember that each attachment style and each pattern of behavior that we have serves a purpose. So here I want to take a moment to tell you there's no better or worse. It's just a pattern that has helped us grow and be who we are. Okay? Another fun fact, now that I just said this, is in the research that I read shows that your attachment style is literally linked to your hormones, right? So depending on how you were raised with your mother, and this includes dogs, your hormones and your ability for your oxytocin to be absorbed will be different, right? And this is going to create a change in your cortisol levels, and this is going to create different patterns of behavior. And that's why attachment is so difficult to change. This is so cool. Very interesting, right? But okay, I digress. Let me go back to explaining the different attachment styles, right? So what about if my dog has an attachment style that is dismissive, right? So how would that even look like? So remember, just like we're talking about in humans, the human with a dismissive attachment style will be like, no, I can help myself, I can stand on my own, I can be like super like person, right? The dog would be the same. If you get home, the dog will be like, nah, right? The dog is not gonna look for you to like if they're hurt, all right? So even I love my dog. He's not here right now, but Blue is really, really good and asking for help. So he actually, I believe, has the most secure attachment style. And why? If I take him to the doggy hotel, they will literally tell me he is so social, he loves everybody. Doesn't matter if you're a human, doesn't matter if you're a dog, he can get along with anybody. He is soothing to the other dogs. For example, if Batman sometimes is soothing, he can soothe them. Sometimes he also puts them in his place though. but not too much. It's like he does it in a very compassionate way. And even something that I find really, really cool is that if he needs help, he will come and get me. For example, sometimes Batman will get in his bed, and for most of the time Batman respects his bed, and even if it's in his bed, Luke can like get him out, you know, again with compassion. But let's say Batman is just like, Batman has a little blanket, so Batman will get with his blanket. Let's say Batman's with his blanket in Blue's bed, and Blue's like, he'll come to me, he's like, he looks at me like, Mom, can you get him out? And so I have to go and get him out, and then Blue will go back to his bed. So Blue's really good at asking for help, which also creates and shows that he has that secure attachment. Being able to ask for help in a kind and compassionate way is also part of having a secure attachment. All right. So then the last attachment that I haven't talked about is the disorganized. And the disorganized attachment, all it means is I have trauma that has not been processed. So this takes us back to PTSD, okay? So if I haven't had all of my trauma processed, right, and I feel uncomfortable in this situation, remember attachment, I didn't explain exactly what attachment was. A moment. What is attachment? There's 4 types, but what does it mean? Attachment is simply a pattern of behavior that you follow when you don't feel secure in a relationship. The different attachment styles are going to mean the level of tolerance your body has, and so how fast you're gonna feel unsafe within a relationship. A person with a secure attachment feels safe most of the time and has a large tolerance for things that can happen within a relationship. A person with an anxious attachment is going to have low tolerance for separation, may feel very unsafe when we are separating. Let's say a child who leaves, who stays in school, right? And the mom leaves and the child starts crying, and this happens a lot, and the child's already like, I don't know, 7, 8, you know that there's difficulty, you know there's the anxiety, right? Dogs that just cry when you leave, that feel very attached to you, stuck to you when you come back, that they cannot be free to play, that's an anxious attachment, right? A person who has a dismissive attachment is going to feel very unsafe when you're all up in their business. It's like, why are you so close to me, bro? All right, give me some space. And so, because they're more about independence, right? So this is important. So their tolerance for you being in their space, in their business, for you like having big emotional reactions, it's gonna be really short. They're gonna want to get out of there, all right? As opposed to the anxious attachment style, the people with this attachment, they have big feelings and they're going to want to attach to the moment, okay? And then a person with disorganized attachment, smaller window of tolerance. So not only are my patterns of behavior gonna start, but my symptoms may start. So if I have nightmares, I might have nightmares that day if I fall unsafe within our relationship, right? Let's say that I have dissociative type. If I see hallucinations, I might see hallucinations. If my startle response, right, may be higher if I felt unsafe within this relationship today. So that's real quick attachment style. All right. So now I'm gonna go back to the disorganized. So I was saying how if I have a disorganized attachment style, then my symptoms are gonna go up. A disorganized attachment style is always paired with another one. So perhaps my underlying is anxious and I have disorganized. So I need to be close, I need to be close, I need to be close. You're going to leave me, all my symptoms are gonna go up, all my nightmares, all my flashbacks, everything's gonna go up because I felt like you couldn't listen to me right now. Okay, that is a disorganized attachment style. If I have this disorganized attachment style, but the avoidance is there, right? And so what's gonna happen? You are giving me a big reaction. I'm overwhelmed because remember, I don't want your big reaction. I want my independence and I don't want you to burden me with your stuff. So I'm gonna flee and my symptoms are gonna turn on, okay? My girl just asked a really good question is, can a dog that has had trauma actually be a therapeutic dog? And so I want to make a difference between the psychiatric dogs that are specifically trained for PTSD and just your regular therapeutic dog, right? So a therapeutic dog doesn't need to have as low temperament, right? Because not everybody who has a trauma or has a disability needs that low level of temperament. So, for example, people with other disabilities, like physical disabilities, might be okay with a dog that is more excitable, right? It actually might be good. It might help with bringing that joy in their life, making connections. And so definitely dogs who have had trauma and who are a little bit more excitable than others can be good therapeutic dogs. In fact, some people who have PTSD that is not, remember, there's a spectrum to everything. So there's people who have PTSD that are more trusting to other people, that feel less arousal. Those people might be fine with a dog that is excitable, right? As opposed to somebody who might have severe PTSD, severe arousal symptoms, is going to need a dog that is super like low in their temperament, that is super calm, right? Because in this case, a dog really needs to share their peace with that owner, okay? So again, if you're a person who has had trauma and you are just, you might have an anxious attachment style and you just love helping, you were raised to help, you might feel really good with dogs that have trauma and that are anxious, right? Another really cool thing that I didn't say is that it's important to note that once a dog has been with you for a long time, what the research shows is that their levels of oxytocin and cortisol do match you, okay? So what does this mean? If you're a person that finds it really hard to connect with your dog, or that finds it really burdened to have a dog because, oh my goodness, I don't want to, it's too much to take him to the vet, it's too much to do this, it's too much to do that, then you're better off not getting a dog, because what that happens is that's going to also stress the dog out. And the level of cortisol in your dog is going to raise, and that's going to create more behavioral issues for your dog, right? So again, if you're a person who just loves dogs, who has the temperament to have dogs, then you can have regular dogs. You're better able to connect with therapeutic dogs. You're not going to need that specialized dog, okay? If you're a person that just has difficulty with connection with dogs, has difficulty with the arousal level, if your window of tolerance for having to do chores, for having to do things for others is really low, then it's best that you don't have any type of therapeutic animal. And this brings me back to connection, one thing that I wanted to talk about that is so important. depending on your attachment style and the severity of the spectrum where you are. For example, there you may have some anxious attachment style, but with some secure, so which makes it a lower anxiety level anxious attachment style. But you may have an extremely anxious attachment style, or an extremely dismissive, or extremely disorganized. So when you're more in the more extremes, when you have more difficulty with abandonment, when you have more difficulty with trust, what's going to happen is that your level of connection with others is going to be almost non-existent. For some people, it is non-existent. There are people in this world who really do not feel safe with any human being. They cannot be in a relationship. Some people that have this difficulty are able to have relationships with animals, and this is great because a horse, a dog, a different type of animal can help, right? But there's also people that cannot do that a dog is going to be too much, that a horse is going to be too much, that maybe a reptile will do a better job, right? So we have to know where we're at. Now, does this mean that the person that has difficulty with that connection is always going to have that difficulty? I truly believe that we all have the ability to change. Yes, I said that your attachment style is largely correlated to your hormones and how they work within your body. Not only your hormones, your neurotransmitters, the levels of oxytocin and cortisol, and how they level in your body. All this is part of your attachment style because it's the thing that turns on that pattern that you have and kind of chooses whether you're more, I need to get away from this overwhelming situation and run, or I need to be attached to the situation and really solve this problem, right? And so, again, even though this is really hardwired within your system, the longer you are in a safe place with somebody who can support you, the better able you are to grow, to be able to connect. And again, I go back to my babies, right? So we have a Batman and Mercy, very anxious. Batman at first, when he came to the house, he always had to go to the bathroom with me, and now he doesn't. Now he sometimes can stay outside and he feels safe. He knows that I'm not going to leave him, right? And so that this took some time. He's been with me for a year now. And so again, this is possible. You are not alone. You are not always going to be unable to have a relationship. For some people, and for some dogs, it might take a year. Some other people, it might take 20 years. 20 years of being in a secure relationship to be able to feel okay. And that's okay. So what I want to close this out with is, yes, not every dog is the perfect dog for PTSD, right? But there's a perfect dog for you if you like dogs, right? And not every person can have a therapeutic dog or should have a dog, right? This doesn't mean that you are a bad person. This doesn't mean that a dog that cannot be a therapeutic dog for PTSD is a bad dog. It just means that being compatible, being able to support each other, either my dog being able to support me supporting my dog, or us mutually supporting, is so important. It's not bad, it's not worse, it's understanding our patterns, giving ourselves compassion, and please, 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 just loving yourself, loving the world, loving your dog. If you choose to have a dog, if you choose to have a dog that helps you with PTSD, I hope that you can give them compassion and love and really create that bond. And if you don't have a dog, if you can't have a dog because the connection's not there, I hope that you're able to give yourself compassion, the compassion and love that you deserve. Thank you so much, guys, for listening. This has been a pleasure. And thank you, guys. All right, guys, if you like this, subscribe and share. All right, I hope this was helpful. Thank you.